Welcome back. You're watching live from Paris on France 24. It's time for Campaign Chronicles, our daily countdown to the presidential election. And for that, I'm joined by our French political editor, Mark Perelman, and our media editor, James Creedon, will be popping in as well with the reaction in the press and on the blogs. Now, Mark, it seems the French are far from being set alight by this campaign, aren't they? A new poll says not many people are going to bother voting at all.
Yes, a new poll came out this weekend by IFOP and says 32% of the French will not turn out April 22nd for round one of the presidential election. This would be a record. We're seeing the figures there. It would be a record. The previous high was in 2002 with over 28% abstention. And the last time there was a presidential election, 2007, is when people turned out in droves. The abstention rate was actually a little less than 17%. So clearly this is a worry. It's especially a worry on the left side of the political aisle because the socialists remembered that 2002, when the record abstention rate, is the year when their candidate did not make it to round two of the election, and the abstention was one of the factors explaining why the then socialist leader Lionel Jospin did not make it to the second round. And so this is also why the current socialist candidate, François Hollande, expressed the need for people to go and vote on April 22nd. He was in La Réunion, an overseas French territory, over the weekend.
Wait for the second round? Why bother going for the first round of voting? Maybe there'll be better things to do. Well, let me tell you, it's with a big turnout in the first round that you will build the foundation for victory.
All right, François Hollande, I'm pretty worried about it then. But why is that? Why are people so uninterested?
Well, I predict, and maybe I'm taking a risk here, that more people will turn out than this poll suggests. Why are they saying they're uninterested? Because one thing seems certain, they know who will be in the second round. Nicolas Sarkozy and François Hollande. There's less and less certainty as the polls suggest that they're way ahead of the other contenders. And so people say, well, I might just wait for the second round. I know who's going to be in the first round. And I'm not happy with the way the campaign is being led, with all the issues that are coming out. And I might as well stay home as a protest vote. So I think we'll see more people come. And in the second round, we can expect a very high turnout, especially if the two leading candidates are neck and neck in the polls, as seems to be the case right now.
There's a feeling that it's all sewn up. All right. Well, there's another reason as well. The election takes place right in the middle of the Easter school holidays. So with less than 3 weeks to go before round one, efforts are growing to ensure a high turnout. And there's no option for a postal vote here in France. Those that can't make it to the ballot box in person must make sure they can nominate a proxy.
This is the Socialist Party's latest campaign video. Its aim isn't to tell people who to vote for, but simply to ensure they vote, including by proxy. The Socialists particularly are worried by the threat of wide-scale abstention. France's vacations could also exacerbate the situation. The first round falls slap bang in the middle of the Easter break. The second round coincides with a public holiday, meaning some will be facing a tough choice between taking a break and doing their civic duty. The solution is simple. These people are setting up a proxy vote at their local police station.
We live too far away and I'll be preparing for my exams.
I'll be on holiday.
The state has doubled its budget to publicise proxy voting, and the procedure has also been simplified to encourage more voters to take part.
You just need some ID and some basic information about the proxy, their name, their address, and the date of birth of the person who'll be voting for you.
Abstention rates have been rising in elections since the last presidential vote, but so far the latest drive does seem to be working.
We're already at about 80 a day. In the coming weeks, that's sure to rise to 150 or even 200 some days.
Signing up can be done right up to the day before the election. For democracy, it's better late than never.
All right, James Creedon, our media editor, is here with us. James, now one high-profile voter already has a proxy organised.
That's right. Well, according to Le Monde today, and Le Nouvel Observateur was talking about it as well, various media, Jacques Chirac might have nominated a proxy, or his entourage might have arranged for a proxy to vote on his behalf. Now, there are several reasons for this. He has had health issues in the last year or so, which came into prominence because of a case for corruption at the Paris City Hall where he was absent, and it was said that he might be suffering from dementia. In any case, he has come out in the past week, or at least sources close to him say, that he's going to vote for François Hollande. Now, that's a shock because it's the wrong political family. He should be voting for Sarkozy if he's being loyal.
Right.
But in any case, in the Nouvel Observateur, they're saying they might actually nominate a proxy to vote for him. Why? Because if he were to go to a voting booth, he's liable to do anything. He's liable to come out and say, I just voted for Hollande, and that would be another embarrassing moment. And so the Le Monde has this headline here, Chirac, personne n'a dit autant de mal de moi que Sarkozy. He's reported to have said, no one has spoken so much ill of me as Sarkozy. So there's bad blood there. There's a very complicated political history where he was sort of, Chirac was Sarkozy's protege, and then he kind of figuratively stabbed him in the back by supporting Balladur. In any case, yes, so he's apparently going to vote for Hollande, and it's not the first time he's said it.
They've got form, those two, haven't they? Now, Mark, that's just one vote after all, and a dubious endorsement, it has to be said. But what about foreigners, non-French people who live here in France but who are allowed to vote? Apparently they're all going to be voting for Sarkozy.
It's actually the French who live abroad.
Oh, apologies. French who live abroad.
French who live abroad. There's a poll that was taken to see if they vote according to the same voting patterns as the French who live in France. And it seems no. They're much more favorable to Nicolas Sarkozy. A poll suggests that in the first round he would arrive ahead with 37%. François Hollande would get only 27%, and in round two, it'll be closer, but Nicolas Sarkozy would still edge out François Hollande 51 to 49. So it seems that the French people living abroad who are expatriates, often sent by companies, and generally are living in better conditions than the average French, tend to vote more conservative. It's just logical, but it's also interesting because the candidates are certainly fishing for all the votes they can get. Nicolas Sarkozy has often used his travel abroad to meet the French community to make sure they get...
Well, this is all those French bankers living in London, isn't it? Sarkozy's been emailing
there are other French people living than bankers, but it's true that it's kind of corporate France that's living abroad more than the working class France.
And they're not going to be coming back if Hollande gets in. So they say, all right, now what about the Green Party candidate, Eva Joly? She's had a tough campaign, hasn't she? And it just got a whole lot worse this weekend.
Yes, she actually came out of the movie theater yesterday night, fell on her head. She was brought to the hospital. And she just came out of the hospital.
She's all right, isn't she?
She's all right. She suspended her campaign activities today. She'll resume them tomorrow morning. But it's a metaphor for her campaign. She had high hopes. The Greens were polling 12, 13%. Now it's 2, 3%. And it's been getting worse by the day.
Right. On that note, will I show you a couple of tweets on that, Mark?
Yes, you've got some rather mischievous tweets,
You're saying it's a metaphor? Well, some people are, being a little bit distasteful maybe on Twitter, saying she wasn't very high in the polls, so that fall, if it's metaphorical, mustn't have been too hard because she didn't have too far to fall, kind of thing. So this Eva Joly hospitalisée après une chute. Si c'est dans les sondages, vous, d'où elle est tombée, blah, blah, blah. Seeing where she's falling from, not so bad. Now, people are criticising those who are making fun of her on Twitter. This person here saying, how chivalrous, likeable, nice, altruistic, charitable, etc., to mock somebody who is suffering. Hashtag awful, or nullos. I mean, I'm not sure how you'd translate that.
Well,
Zeros.
Zero is right.
Well,
so,
we do hope she's feeling better soon. Nobody likes to fall down the steps. All right,
of
now, the Green Party have another problem, don't they? Not only is their leader throwing herself downstairs, the Socialist Party had signed an agreement with the Green Party, and now they seem to be backtracking on it, right?
Yes, things only seem to get worse. They reached a deal last November whereby, they agreed on policy issue, nuclear energy, but also agreed, the Socialists agreed that they will allow the Greens to run in 64 constituencies for the upcoming parliamentary elections. There are parliamentary elections a month after the presidential elections, and so that would ensure the Greens would get 20 to 25% MPs, which allows them to form a group in parliament. You need 15 MPs, and the Greens don't have that. The Socialists are saying, well, wait a second, when we reached that deal, the Greens were much higher in the polls. Now they're so weak, we should basically forget this agreement and field more socialist candidates, even against the Green. And one of the socialist leaders, Arnaud Montebourg, was quite blunt about what he thought the agreement was worth. It was yesterday night on BFM TV.
In the legislative elections, so far there's no deal that's been written in stone. Me, I think that the deal with the Greens has its place, but it's a political deal that raises a number of questions.
You mean questions or problems?
Problems that have already been pointed out, so there's no need for me to repeat them.
So clearly the Greens were incensed when they heard this, and they said, we cannot believe we signed the deal, we negotiated for weeks, and now they're saying it's rubbish. Here is what Jean-Vincent Placé had to say in no uncertain terms to Arnaud Montebourg.
I think Arnaud Montebourg should go on the Socialist Party's website. He knows the party well. He'll see the deal on the website. He'll find the text of the programme. It deals with everything he's worried about. To be honest, Arnaud is an extremely intelligent guy, but he also regularly says things that make no sense.
Right, and you were misled there. He's not a socialist, is he? He's a member of the Green
Party.
Party.
He's a Green Party. Maybe if you listened to him, you would have guessed that he's not too happy with the socialists.
It was a little bit confusing. All right, Mark Perelman, James Creedon, thank you both very much indeed. Much more on our website. Don't forget to go to www.france24.com. Loads of election stuff on there for you as well.